to be here. Success Summit. Thank you, Brandy, for having us back here. And I'm going to share with you two super easy but beautiful Christmas cards that you can make in bulk. You can make them all sorts of different ways. And I'm going to use, it's actually one of our older stamp sets, and I love pulling out of my stash things that I've already got. So this is our poinsettia stamp. It was from Alex Siberia. You may recognize her style of illustration. And I'm going to use this beautiful focal image in here, and we're going to dive straight in because I want to make two cards with you as well. So, you know, we have a time limit, so I want to make sure that we get everything done. So our first one, we are going to grab out a piece of black cardstock, and you want it to be card front size. Now I'm working here on my maker's mat, or my maker's surface pad, and thing is, it has all of these sizes on it, and this goes with one of our free guides. So on here, you can have it this way round for right-handed, or you can have it this way round for left-handed. It also has printed your dimensions and slim lines and all your different layers and everything. So this here is my layer 2. It's my 3.75 by 5-inch layer. And I'm going to use a piece of our Eclipse black cardstock, which is a super dark 100-pound cardstock. They are all milled in America as well, which is something we're really proud of. And I'm going to stretch this piece out across my panel. So you can really do it however you want. You can see on here, it stretches out nicely. Over. So this has already been pre-conditioned. I pre-condition all my stamps to remove that layer that sticks to your stamp. So you see how I can press down and lift up? That's because I've used something called Prime Time that removes that sticky manufacturing residue from my stamps. I'm using some Color Hive clear ink. This is a lovely sticky but fine ink for heat embossing, for kaleidoscope powders, all those kinds of things. And I'm going to go down here and give it a nice press, excuse my head, with my smusher. It gives me a lovely even pressure. It fits in the palm of my hand here. You know, there's all sorts of different versions. That one is made out of wood, so it just has a nice weight. And whenever I do clear ink, I do like to stamp twice. Just makes me feel better that I probably have most of my image that way. You can, if you tilt it to the side, kind of see, but you never get it quite in the right place. I'm going to just give this really good press down here. I don't know that this is the right magnet for my actual MISTI, so I'm going to be brave. I think I've got everything on there. Looks like I have all my details. And top tip, if you want to use a stamp again, but you don't want to clean it, and that, just take the mouse pad out of your MISTI. It's ready to, it'll stay in there, but it doesn't make anything dirty. So you've got it there for next time. I'm going to use some white embossing powder. I have mine in a big jar because I don't know about you, but I use lots of white. I do live in Florida, so I have a fan going. I certainly don't recommend having your fan going at that same time. Our powder, the Maker Forte powders, are naturally anti-static, and we try and remove as much static as we possibly can. So you can see on there, got a lovely fine detailed image. I'm just making sure I got all those little sketch lines on here as well. And I'm just going to brush off that little bit down there. All right, so let's put this back in our jar. I'm going to heat set this with our heat gun. You can use any heat gun. I like the Wagner one. Yeah, this is the older version. I said the newer one in my other studio. Maybe. Got it plugged in. You just turn the plugs on. All over this one. And if you've never used embossing powder before, you're waiting for it to turn from powder to an enamel. It's a really cool effect. You can kind of just see it go across your cardstock. once you're done, you should be able to turn the card and you'll instantly see if there's anywhere that still has powder. I see one that went here. So give it about 5 seconds to cool. It really doesn't need long, but you don't want to instantly put your hand in. Trust me, it hurts. Been there, done that. And now I'm going to use some color pencils. You can use any that you like. I really like these chameleon ones. I've had this pack for a long, long time. It stands up on my desktop like this, and they're dual tipped. So you can go from light to dark really easily. They are kind of harder to get. If we are able to link them up, there is a supply list that goes with this class. So do check that out. Brandy's put that up for you. We will do our best to find you somewhere that Brandy can link up that you can find these. But the other reason I like them is you can use them with Gamsol if you've ever tried that technique to blend together. But they pop really nicely on black cardstock. And there's not many, on all honesty, that do that. So you see I missed a bit down here, but I'm going to make it work, because the one thing I always do in my videos, and you can follow us on YouTube at the Hedgehog Hollow, same on Instagram, Facebook, all those kinds of things, is I keep in all of my mistakes, and most of the card making I do is live. This was, we just recorded a live broadcast, because we all make mistakes in our card making, and I want you to see you can always fix things and make it work. There's very rarely do I take something and be like, this is enough, I'm just going to throw it away. So I'm just coloring in the center of my leaves with this tone, and then we're going to add some more tones in a minute. I'm even coloring over the embossing powder so it doesn't look so stark white. It just takes a little bit of a hint of a tone from my colored pencils. You can see. And it looks so good. There's not many mediums that you can use on black cardstock, and it really kind of, pops. Whereas color pencils is a great one because you can use them on white cardstocks, dark cardstocks, all those kinds of things. And look how well that pops. I mean, you wouldn't think it, but they really do pop nicely. And I'm going to add another green tone in a minute. I'm just laying down, this is my base. As I say, if you love using Gamsol and getting the blends, you can absolutely do that too. You notice I'm turning my cardstock. I'm a lefty, so I also try and keep my hands out the way so in the video you can see what I'm doing. But I like to just keep turning my cardstock because I find that it's just easier. You don't have to keep it in one place. And you also see how fast I'm coloring this. I'm not, I love to sit and color with my Copics, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, I also love to kind of just have a little bit of fun with my colored pencils and do something a little bit faster too. So now I'm going to take a different green tone. I'm going to go into, so that was the Clover Shamrock one. This I'm using Summerleaf and Cactus Green. And I'm just going to add some tones to kind of fill in the gaps really, and just add a little bit of light. You see how nicely these layer too? So a bit dark. And it just kind of brings a little freshness. Going to make those leaves really pop. And literally, I'm just going down my leaf like that, and then like that. That's all I'm doing to give it that little bit of texture. And I apologize the camera moves because, of course, as the desk moves, the whole of my dream box moves, which is where my camera is mounted. Okay. So you see there where I didn't have all the detail, I've still kind of made that detail, and your eye fills in the rest. You really, you'll be surprised how your brain just kind of fills it in as well. And nobody is going to know if you make a mistake. Remember, no one's seen that original stamp and knew that there was supposed to be something there. You can also take a white pen and just add some details, like a Posca pen if you want to. So that's how far we've got on that. Now I'm going to go in with, I'm actually going to start with pink. This one is the lychee and strawberry. So I'm going to just start off with a light base of the lychee. I love lychees too, so that makes me happy. Lychee bubble tea is one of my favorite flavors, or a lychee martini if you've never tried it. I always get one in Phoenix. For some reason they're the best. So I'm just filling this in. You see, I'm just coloring all over, because as we build up our colors darker and darker, we are going to fill the rest in. So now we're going to go in with that strawberry, and I kind of just go in from both ends on the larger leaves. And I'm turning my paper. It makes it so much easier. Just some little strokes. That's what we're doing. And you see, I do brush off some of the embossing powder, but I don't, because this is supposed to stand out with the coloring. The embossing powder for us is just a line. You could even do black embossing powder and it would almost be like no line coloring on here. You could definitely do that. And I just colored over that embossing powder to give my centers a little bit of color. I mean, I'm all about easy coloring. I'm going in with the plum. And I'm just going to fade that down a little bit more. What I'm doing is using the plum to soften out the strawberry into the lychee. And I love how this looks. Look at that. And then you can use either a Posca pen, a white pencil, whatever your preference is, to add some highlights. I'm just going to do some little ones on this because I want to make sure we have time to do second quick card rather than add all of our highlights and things. So what you can do is white pencil, or as I say, the Posca pen is one of my favorites. We'll link that up for you as well in the supply list. And do check the supply list because we're going to put a couple of extra little goodies in there for you as well. But do you see how that little bit of white just lifts it out? And it just, I think it really finishes it off. I'm also going to add a little bit on the leaves. So you can try Posca, which is going to be more like a paint pen, or if you want to try with the white pen, I really like the effect that that white pencil kind of brings in as well. I'm actually just going to add a little bit here just to make it rounded. Isn't that cool? Like how it takes it from kind of flat to really like perked up. So that is card friend number 1. number 2, and then we're going to mount them up. So again, I have a piece 3.75 by 5 inches. And put my cardstock in. And if you, like me, love to, this one more over here. If you don't love to clean your stamps, what I like to do is just put down the acetate. It can be either side, the back or the front of your acetate. Even a stencil will work really well. You can put that down. And so this way you don't have to clean your stamp. I'm going from clear to black, so it really doesn't matter. And this time I want my poinsettia to be right on the edge of my card base, like this. So I'm just going to flip this over, this up. Double check it. Looks pretty good to me. Where I'm going to stick my magnet. I may just use actually a little bit of tape. Post-it tape. So I'm just going to put that over here just to hold it in place. Or not, because it's going to be a tough one to hold, I think. Just go down like that, and I'll make it a hinge. Oh my goodness, there's nowhere to stick this. I just want a little bit just in case. Yeah, that's good. All right, so now we're going to use our Eclipse Black, which is a really lovely strong black. All of these pads are re-inkable too. And this one is instantly alcohol marker friendly. And when I say instant, I really do mean instant. So again, I'm going to use my smusher. And I want this to be a really crisp black, carbon black line. So we have a pretty good outline from one stamp. I'm going to do 2, just because that's how I like it done. That's all personal preference. You definitely don't need a second one. So there's our color piece. Again, I don't want to clean this just yet because I'll do that later. So just take your mouse pad out, nothing gets dirty, it's ready to go. So for this one, I'm actually going to do monochromatic. And we start these Blackwing pencils. So I found out about Blackwings at the National Stationery Show. If you haven't heard of a Blackwing pencil, they are actually the pencil that was used to draw Bugs Bunny. How cool is that? So I'm doing this super soft, and then I just go a little bit harder and add my shadows in. So I'm going to color this whole monochromatic poinsettia with one pencil. This one here is the Pearl. This is, I believe, a medium. We have different weights and things, but they're a super cool pencil. They were used by lots of people, like the illustrator of Bugs Bunny and things. And then the company actually went bankrupt years and years ago, and a guy in Colorado bought up the rights to them, like the copyright and that, and he's reproducing them in the old style, and they do some really cool ones. So we have all those. We have their colored pencils. They're really nice as well. I probably should use those to color my last one in. They're really nice. They have a lovely soft ledge. You see how here I'm able to just really softly blend them together. And you can mix the different types too if you are particularly artistic. I am not. I'm definitely I would class myself as a beginner. But I love how I can achieve these really light and really dark details. They also do extenders, so they go all the way down, which I think is kind of cool. You see that I'm really achieving different effects, and the more pencil I lay down, the darker that's going to get. They also have a gorgeous eraser on the end. So what I can do, I just need to darken that edge first. But I can also just go from the tip, and rather than use that white pencil like we did last time, I just use the eraser, and all of a sudden, you see how that just starts popping out there? You could even go back if you do too much. Great thing is, yeah, you do too much, you just go back in and recolor. So again, I'm going to go in
I love monochromatic cards. I color with my gray Copics all the time. So I'm just going around. And I'm coloring 2 cards here in our tutorial in real time because I want to show you that whilst coloring, for a long time is great fun, you can still do coloring on bulk cards and make it time effective. And don't be afraid of white space too. So like in these here, I kind of feel like I want to lighten up the center of my leaf a bit. So I'm almost pulling it. And again, the amount of pressure you put on the eraser so all of a sudden, like it just brightens all of that up. So I'm going to go in the same here. I'm going to start off super light on this flower. And if you have more than one type, so there is a pearl, there is a matte, there's different thicknesses of lead. Again, we'll link all that up in the supply list. The heavier the lead, the darker the shadows you're going to get. So you can absolutely mix through the pencils as well as you go. And these are gorgeous pencils to use for all sorts of things. I have a pot of them here on my desk. But I just want to use one because I want to show you like what you can achieve with one pencil. So you can see I'm starting with a really light coat, but notice I'm not just scribbling all over. I'm going and actually coloring each leaf individually, like that. And I'm not coloring it around circles, but I am trying to follow the curves of the leaf a little bit. And trust me, that will help you get a really lovely effect. So you see I color down the leaf and then around, down and around, just like this. And if you love color, then go ahead and color these in bright reds or blues or greens and yellows or whatever tint you love. You could also do the leaves monochromatic and then do the flowers in a bright red. That would look super pretty. And if you get the Blackwing red, you definitely could do that. Or you could do all one shade of red and then so now I'm going back in one shade of green. So here I'm just going in and I'm adding those details. See, like this. So really I'm just following that curvature of the flower. We'll go back and blend in a second, so don't worry if it looks a little bit raggedy right now. And now I'm just softly going back, you see, just softly, softly. And I'm blending out those dark areas. See, like this. I'm just smoothing out my leaves. See, real life continues. And so what you want to do, I'm just going to finish this leaf off here. And I'm going to go a little bit heavier down this center vein because I want it to look like it's curving out. The other thing you want to consider with petals, and particularly leaves, is there is a little Y at the end here. That Y, if you make that Y darker, it instantly makes your leaf or whatever you're working on kind of look a little bit sharper. This is a one here. So I like to, with my leaves, particularly when I'm doing monochromatic, is I go and make that Y pronounced before I even start. You see how I'm going in with my Y. And again, I'm going to color
Always away.
I'm going to use some Maker's Magic glue. This is our Maker's Magic glue. So you can use this like a clear Nuvo drop or use it flat on like adhesive, and it will dry clear on vellum as well, which is one of the things I really, really, really love about it. Here on here. So, and this is Chameleon Sparkle paper that I've used underneath. It's one of my favorites. It's super sparkly. You can ink blend on it, you can alcohol ink on it, and all sorts of things to create some really lovely effects. Now on this one, I kind of had a little plan to see if we can get this done quickly so that I stay within my time limit. So I'm going to stick this onto my red. Actually, it's too big. Let's grab our trimmer and make sure. What's a nice bit about liquid adhesive is it gives us a little bit of wiggle room. So this one should be 4. 5 of water. And then I also have my card base. We sell a pre-cut, pre-folded, or pre-scored, I should say, not pre-folded, pre-scored card base. Now, I'm going to stick this on. I need to make sure this side has more adhesive than I normally would put, because I'm going to show you a cute little idea I have for this one. Okay, so let's put that down. Now, for the pencil, you can choose to fix it or not fix it. I don't usually use fixative on my colored pencil drawings. You absolutely want to. And then actually get a piece of black. This piece is 5.5 tall, and I'm going to cut around about 1 inch. And I want to take your scissors like this, and I'm actually just going, this isn't quite dry, but it's going to work for us. So Brandy asked us to make sure it's all in real time so you could follow along. So I'm making it work. So I'm actually cutting off the edge. Yeah. And you want to do this with all your layers on, because otherwise you don't end up with this kind of cool effect. And I noticed when I was looking at, like Hallmark cards this year and that, like these lacy edges are really trendy to have. A lot of the cards this year are cut in things. So again, I'm going up here. And Then you can take your piece of black. I think I might actually need more than that. So then we'll stick a piece of black on there, and you can see how you then get that little cutout, but your card still stands up. However, we still need, of course, some sentiment on there. So again, I want to show you, you'll be amazed how in the next, I don't know, 5 seconds, these cards are going to come out finished. They're miles away. I will go back and do a little bit of extra colouring, but that's the only thing I'm going to do afterwards. So I ended up cutting a little bit extra here. This is probably like 2.5 inches, just because of how much of the leaf I cut. I love it. And you could just put a little insert in here if you wanted to, or you could write on this side. But I really like being able to show that little bit on there, because it still stands up perfectly. I'm going to take our simple sayings, and this is one of our Christmas sets, and we have a die here that just goes over the top, and we're going to pop it through our Sizzix or whatever die cutting machine you've got. So I'm just going to grab this, pop this over the top, line up your 4 grid pieces, and it cuts out, I think we have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You get 9 sentiments all at once, so it's really, really cool. Black and white. You can ink them, you can foil them, you can do all sorts of things with them. We also have a version that cuts out smaller sentiments, but by popular demand, people ask for larger ones. So I'm going to go with some of these. I'm just going to slide them out. So you can see they're all cut out on there. And now we can do It's the Most Wonderful Time of the Year. And I'm going to use some little foam squares. I like these ones because look how they just pop up and off there. This. We'll stick this one here. This one here, and we'll do, how about mistletoe and margaritas? It's fun, isn't it? You can choose, and we have all sorts of different ones. Sorry, I forgot I had to switch the view there. So you can see you've got 9 cut out on here. So there's my mistletoe and margaritas. It's the most wonderful time of the year, and I've got tons of these. I just keep them. These all come in a little bag so that you can keep them all together. And that's it. So thank you so much for joining me here. I know I went a little over my time, but I hope it was worth it. As I say, go check out the supply list. I'm going to put some extras in there for you as well. And thanks for joining us. Come find us at Maker Forte and at makerforte.com. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Now hop on over to the Cardmakers Success Summit Facebook attendee group for a short Facebook Live with Alexandra.